So getting back to Trump, getting back to my question to you, Ted, and I need an answer. Is this a totalitarian? Is this a move by a totalitarian cabal to get rid of democracy, to get rid of opposition? And within 6 months, are we going to be looking at a completely neutered democracy?
Not yet. I mean, you're as much of a student of World War II as I am, and the rise of Nazism, and that happened with breathtaking speed at very high volume. Okay, this is comparatively slow and nothing. Now, this is not to say that we shouldn't be concerned. I'm just saying it's not comparable to what happened in 1933 to 1936 between the appointment of Hitler as chancellor on January 30th of 33, and let's just say the passage of the Nuremberg laws in 36. This is definitely still within the constitutional system. It's still testing the system. What you're seeing is more like a soft authoritarianism that is kicking in, and that is sort of, I think, shown less by what the administration is trying to do and more by the absence of opposition. There were no significant protests on Inauguration Day. The Democrats are completely dispirited, and even now sort of are saying, well, we're going to have to take a beat and see like what if MoveOn.org can come up with some sort of messaging for us. We haven't figured out how we're going to, they've said this, we don't know how we're going to oppose the Trump administration. So we're just sort of standing by and we're in wait and see mode. The fact that you had, the tech companies that gave Trump such a hard time that they deplatformed him personally are like now going to Washington and kissing the boot. And the fact that like you've got just the, even Democratic senators are, even Bernie Sanders, willing to vote for someone as hard right and extremist as Marco Rubio, 99-0 for Secretary of State. It's like what you're seeing is a complete, this is a man that we were told was like the worst dude ever, and he's getting everything he wants without any kind of pushback.
So aren't you contradicting yourself, Ted, by saying this doesn't have? I mean, this is happening in a remarkably fast time.
It's not. Totalitarianism is a big word, though. I mean, when by the time it was all over, but within a year and a half of being appointed through the parliamentary system by the aging, soon-to-be dead President Hindenburg, and achieving absolute dictatorship over Germany, where literally his word had the full force of federal law, was about a year and a half. Okay. That's not what's going on here. What's going on here is that the system, this is much more similar to Putinism, right? Which is like in Russia, the constitution still has full effect. You still have elections. You have opposition parties. You have opposition newspapers, opposition radio stations and TV stations. But it's basically the veneer of a vibrant democracy. The outcome is you can have elections as long as you know what the outcome will be in your favor. The opposition parties are either really too weak to ever do anything to win, or they sort of basically are like the what was the Harlem Globetrotters and the Washington Generals. Generals.
You're right. Generals.
I think it's the Generals. So they're the Washington Generals. So it's the veneer of a democracy. That's more what we have here. I mean, you have a Democratic Party. They're still around. Still got the House and the Senate still around. You have the separation of powers. You still everything. It's just that there's no resistance. So this is more like, I guess what I'm saying, I'm nitpicking, but it's history. We should nitpick. It's like this is going slower than Nazi Germany, a lot slower. And so we'll see where we are in like a year and a half.
I'm not convinced it's slower. I think this has been a breakneck. I mean, listen, we're not even in the first week, and we are talking about significant changes, and also many changes behind the scenes.
Not to the system. Like, what are so what can you point to any changes to, not within the system, but to the system that we've seen
Well,
so
like,
far.
well, immigration, certainly. That's a significant change in that. They're sending troops down to the border already from
That's happened
Camp
before.
Pendleton. This is a large number. This is good. I mean, this is, and setting up the internment camps. I mean, they're now, that is, I mean, the
We've
concentration
had that
camps.
before too.
We have, but not to this degree, Ted. Nothing to this degree. This is going to be, I mean, if the numbers are accurate, and I believe that they are, between 8 and 10 million individuals. I mean, that's a lot of people and
I
a
don't see
lot
how
of
they do.
camps.
I don't see how they do that for the simple reason. I don't see how they get people, any countries, to take that many people.
Well, Mexico said today that they're gearing up to have the,
Right.
Mexican
Their own
nationals
nationals, though. Their
right.
own nationals.
But what are you going to do with the large number of Venezuelan, Nicaraguan, El Salvadorian? Where do you send them? I mean, I don't know. Maybe.
Well,
Canada.
and I don't think, and I think you're right, and I don't think ICE knows either. And
They
I
don't.
think that's, and I don't
They
think,
can't.
Tom Honan doesn't know either. I just
There's no answer to
don't
it.
know. Well,
There's
that's why it
literally-
won't have. I mean, so look, it's not. I'm not saying we're not.
Well, no,
gonna
but they
see
don't.
some
Just
really
because they don't have a
disturbing
place to
shit.
send them doesn't mean they won't put them in the camps. Ted, by the way, one does not equal the other. They're still going to round them up, put them into camps, and then figure out later.
And that is the purpose of a camp, right? It's sort of like as a way station.
Yeah. So we're going to have concentration camps in the United States for the first time since illegal internment of Japanese Americans during World War II. But the numbers of this are going to be far larger.
Well, that was completely legal.
The Supreme Court eventually came to its senses. Eventually.
No, it didn't.
It did.
No, it didn't. No, it did not. In the Korematsu case, that still stands, and they ruled against. They said that FDR had every right to do that.
I would say,
and Bush used Korematsu to justify Guantanamo.
I'm not convinced. I'm not sure of that, but we'll have to check it out.
Look it up. Yeah. Seriously, I was literally just.
We could look it up now, but having two old guys look at Google something is not scintillating podcasting nor live broadcasting here on YouTube. So
true.
My point is, though, Ted, that the sheer numbers. I mean, that was tens of thousands. This is going to be millions, and. Back then, don't forget. Back then, they also didn't allow cameras. They didn't allow any kind of newsreel coverage of this stuff. There's scant evidence that nobody
cared, and I think,
nobody's going to care about this.
I was just going to say, I don't think anyone cares. I wish I was wrong.
And you and I have had this discussion before, and it breaks my heart. But I am convinced nobody will care.
No one cares.
And in this day and age, because of obviously the ability of phones to record these camps, you're going to have tons of images of them, but people are going to look at them and go, "Ma."
Yeah, that's right.
Which I think is pretty much what the German response to, they took the Jews and, oh my God, where's the Rosenberg family? They were there last week. Ma, oh no.